Welcome to 32 Thoughts, the podcast presented by the GMC Sierra AT4X. It's Kyle and Elliot here with you. Don Shamati is somewhere amongst the crowd here, Elliot. It's the 32 Thoughts holiday get-together. Back after a brief hiatus. This is my first time attending the event as a host. I've got my Christmas sweater on. I see you've got the reindeer antlers on your head, Friedge. What is your favorite part of these get-togethers?
Well, this one we don't really talk about business, right? This is not a business event. This is our opportunity to talk to some colleagues, get to know what's going on in their lives, get to know what they think about traditions. Like there'll be one guest here who I really don't know at all. Like I know the other 6 guests really well, but there's one, she's new to our company. I really don't know her, so I'm looking forward to learning a little bit about her. It's just nice to speak to people in a non-work environment and just have a fun conversation. Now, some things that we do here, everybody is entitled to pour a little bit of Christmas or holiday cheer. It can be either alcoholic or non-alcoholic. We don't discriminate, and everyone's welcome. It's an inclusive, fun party, and everybody's welcome to join in and listen in. So, Mr. Bukauskas, what will we be pouring you?
Ooh, for me, just a cold glass of eggnog. Neat. No rum, no ice, no nothing. It is the flavor of my childhood, and I love sipping back a few of those this time of year. What can I get you, partner?
What do you love more, eggnog or breakfast? Because I've heard these commercials on the pod. Like, do you love eggnog or breakfast more?
Well, I think at this time of year, they go hand in hand. I love doing scrambled eggs for breakfast, and usually I do a little bit of milk in with my scrambled mix. This time of year, instead of milk, I substitute for eggnog.
Nice, really nice. And are you going home? Are either your parents visiting? Like, what are you and Dana doing over the holiday?
So, Mom and Dad, brother, are coming here to Ottawa. We are hosting this year. We spent a lot of time back west last summer. We were out that way for Christmas last year. So we thankfully convinced them to come out this way. So we are hosting. And usually the traditions are Christmas Vacation, Christmas Story, 2 flicks before the big day, and then Christmas Day. It's a Wonderful Life is usually playing kind of in the afternoon as everyone's hanging out. Dinner is slowly being prepared. Those are the staples in the Bukauskas house come Christmas time. Nice.
And was there any great gift you got? First of all, you're going to get all the WHL scoops from your brother. We need to point that out. Secondly, was there any great gift that you remember from your childhood?
Yeah. A Lego train set. That was a big one because it was 2 years in the making. And that was back when, toys and stuff had a shelf life of that long where you could go an entire year and that still be number one on your list all that time later. But I remember it was something I was wishing for, didn't come to fruition the 1 year, and then just continued to push for it over the next 365 days. Finally got the payoff, and it was worth it. That one always comes to my mind.
Yeah, we love Lego too. We're a big Lego family. How long did it take you to do it?
Oh, it was like that became the morning priority. Like before lunchtime, it was all aboard. We had left the station.
Nice. Yes. Well, I hope you and Dana and your family have a great Christmas. You asked me what I was going to pour. I would usually have I like the really this year too. It's kind of weird. Like usually Hanukkah is earlier, and
I was gonna say Happy Hanukkah to you.
It's on the same day as Christmas this year, which I don't ever remember happening before. I'm sure it has, but I don't ever remember happening. Like I'm a peaty Scotch guy. I like my Scotch smoky, so I'm a Lagavulin guy. I remember when Adam Oates worked with us once, I had a glass of it after a show with him, and he was like, that stuff's disgusting, get it away from me. But I love it, and that would be my Christmas holiday / Hanukkah cheer.
Fantastic. And now, over the Hanukkah festivities, what do you and your family love to do each and every year at this time?
Well, you know what? We celebrate what's called Jewish Christmas, which is Chinese food in a movie. Kyle, that's what we do.
Oh, great!
So yes, we always go for Chinese food on Christmas Eve, and we'll find a movie to go see. I think Steph wants to see the Bob Dylan movie this year. I don't even know if it's out yet, so I have to check and see if that's available yet. But that's what we do, and we enjoy the time off. As a matter of fact, I do have some relatives who celebrate Christmas, so we will probably be spending a little bit of time with them. We do that as well, but generally that was always we always used to play cards on Christmas with my buddies and I, but now that they're older, they go away with their families, so that is out of the question. So Chinese food and a movie will be it, and the Hanukkah party we already had. So that one is out of the picture. And Dom is texting, what is my favorite Chinese food? I love lemon chicken. I love lemon chicken. I love the Shanghai noodle. I love hot and sour soup, and I need one spicy meat dish. One spicy meat dish. That's what I like.
And how about you growing up? What was this time of year like for a young Elliot Friedman?
One of the things I really remember, a gift I really remember, and it wasn't like it wasn't the most exotic Christmas gift, but Kyle, when you were young, did you ever play Stratego?
Oh, all I can think about is that line from Family Guy when you say Stratego. I think we had it in the house, but I don't remember.
What's the line from Family Guy? I've never heard this one.
It was Mayor Adam West. I'm trying to remember the scenario where it was like something very serious happening, and then he pulls that out. He's like, "Does anyone want to play Stratego? I have Stratego."
That's pretty funny. I didn't know that. I missed that episode. So I will say this, that's one of the things I actually remember the most was I got that game. I didn't know much about it. And then pretty quickly it became like one of my favorite games. And I always loved playing Stratego. That was like I got hockey stuff periodically. I would get like computer baseball games, and I loved all that stuff. But for some reason, I always remember the game of Stratego, and I went on a run where I was like I played it all the time with whoever would play it against me.
Jeez, so and you probably got pretty good at it.
I was not bad.
Roughshod? Yeah, good.
I was not bad. I was not bad, and the key was being unconventional. I don't want to get too much into this, but the key was being. Everybody always surrounded the flag with bombs. I stopped doing that, and people had a tough time figuring it out initially.
Great. All right, I've got my eggnog. You've got your smoky scotch. What do you say we go mingle?
All right, let's go say hi to people.
Okay, I see. There's Dan Murphy over in the corner there. Let's go. We'll go chat with Dan Murphy here to kick off the holiday party here at 32 Thoughts. Dan, first off, what can we fill your cup with? Doesn't have to be alcoholic. It can be a cold drink. It can be a warm drink. What is comforting you this holiday season?
Oh, you're darn sure it has to be alcoholic. I would say there's three possibilities. A Guinness would be one. Red wine would be the next, and maybe vodka on the rocks. Those are the three choices that I'll go through. So,
what's your red wine of choice? Are you a Malbec guy, or what are you?
It depends what we're having for dinner, but I do tend to like Italian wines. Chiantis, Barolos, obviously, but those are a tad out of my price range a lot of times. And Pinot Noirs as well. I do like cabs when you're having something like a big steak, but usually Pinots or Italian wines.
Nice. Now, I want to know, in addition to this party, being in attendance, are we wearing the same suit? Because I got to tell you, when I saw you wearing that corduroy suit, because it's like the prom dress. We cannot show up to the Christmas holiday party in the same suit, Murph.
I know. Imagine my surprise. I got it last, I guess, spring. So I wore it once, maybe game one of the playoffs against Nashville. And so like that was the only time I'd worn it. And then I saw you posting the picture. I'm like, Deb's cheating on me. And you know, I've been betrayed here. You know, I thought I was the only one. Now I do have a nice beige corduroy suit too, but it's not double-breasted. So anyway, you can pull it off, Freeze.
Well, first of all, we know who the male model is between me and you. Okay, like we know who that is, and it's definitely not me. But here's what I want to know: when you saw me wear that thing, were you like, "That's it. I'm pulling mine out of mothballs and I'm wearing it tomorrow"?
Well, I was because that's one, as you know, there's certain suits you can wear maybe twice a year. And I was getting ready to do it sometime in the holiday season. And then when you brought it out, I had to make sure I wore it because I have pants for that suit and you don't. So I needed to get ahead of things.
That's true. I don't have the pants yet. That's fantastic.
You got the corduroy of the West and the corduroy of the East. That is fantastic. So, Dan.
Yes.
When you introduce yourself to people, do you bring up that you used to cover the NBA and the Grizzlies as much as Elliot brings up that you used to cover the Raptors?
Well, I mean, covering the Grizzlies, it's true. It might be a little ambitious to say I covered them a long time. I was a host for one season. And so, yes, I mean, I was a much bigger basketball fan growing up than hockey fan. So that would have been my preferred sport to cover at that time, breaking into the business. Now, I loved hockey, but basketball was I followed closely. So I will say that. I did do a half of play-by-play as well one time when Tom Glasgow lost his voice. And the story goes that I was up in the stand somewhere, and producer Randy Stevens said, how long will it take you to get courtside to the play-by-play chair? And I said, I don't know, about a minute. He goes, we're up in 2 minutes. Tom Glasgow lost his voice. So I hustle down. I put on the headsets. Jay Triano's the color guy beside me. I'm got a 15 count in my ear, and I look over, and Jay's like motioning for me to take my headset off. I take it off, and he's like, don't F up. Except they didn't use F. So, anyway, as you know, Jay can carry a broadcast, and he did. So, yeah, I do mention that I covered the Grizzlies for sure.
Now, was there a player that you really got along with well, like back then, who was kind of like your guy when you did interviews post game or at halftime or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, that was so early in my career. I wasn't great yet at forging those relationships, and I didn't travel. But I would say, because the team lost a lot, so you're going to cling to guys that are good speakers in tough times. And I would say Grant Long is probably the one guy I went to the most for interviews. He was really good, and Sharif was too quiet. But I still see Sharif on the road sometimes when he was in his GM duties for Sacramento, I believe. And he would recognize me and say hi. I don't think he knew what my name was, but he knew where I was from. But Grant Long, I would say, would be the guy that I went to the most.
I only dealt with him a little bit because he came in when Miami was losing a lot. So unfortunately, he had that experience. He started with the Heat when they were an expansion team. But I remember hearing he was a really good guy. So what do you and your family do over the break?
Well, as you know, Freeze, when you have kids, you kind of start your own traditions. So we usually, there's a game on the 23rd and then a game on the 28th. So we always, we have for a while. Christy's father passed away in 2015. So her stepmom comes on the 24th, stays over that night. So wakes up with us and our daughter opens presents. I always go for a run late morning on Christmas because I'm punishing myself for what happened the night before and what's such a preemptive strike and what's on that night. And then we host Christy's whole family. It's just usually around 14 or 15 people, depending who comes. So that's what it is now. I mean, it's changed greatly from when I was younger or even before we had kids, but that's kind of what we do. And then on the 26th, my sister and family and dad live in Comox, and we'll take the ferry and go over there for a night or 2 nights, depending on when my next game. Yeah.
And for those who don't know, I mean, you are as dedicated as it comes to fitness, and you get after it bright and early, constantly, and it blows me away. And I wonder if that is all just in preparation of these times of year where you're around family, the cups of cheer are flowing, you've got good food around you. Is that the balance of it all?
Well, it's not just for this time of year. You know, it's being on the road 120 days a year. It's tough to eat properly all the time. It's tough to eat at regular times. So I think it's just I always made a conscious choice that if I was going to consume bad calories, it would be through beer and wine. And I've kept to that promise. I try to eat as well as possible, and it's not always possible. And I try to work out, and that way, I don't feel bad about indulging in some wine and beers after games.
Now, have you guys ever run together? Sorry, Kyle, I apologize. Have you guys ever run together?
No.
Murph and I? No.
No. We've been to the gym, usually during the tennis tournament, the National Bank Open. Myself and Kyle will be in there at the same time, Jesse Levine. So I've seen Kyle put on a show.
There's no show.
Okay, what's the show? This I have to hear. What's the show?
He always wears a headband. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
I've seen that. Yes. But I mean, he can pull it off. You know, he's half our age. So, less than half our age. So, he puts in, he does hard work. He gets a good sweat going. I'm not going to make fun of him. He actually, he works out hard. I think even harder at home when he's doing his CrossFit stuff.
Nice.
Oh, gosh. I barely get to that anymore. All right. Last one for you, Murph.
Yep.
So you said you're a big basketball guy growing up, but I know like Ken Dryden was your guy when it comes to hockey. Like, you have a favorite hockey moment from your childhood?
Oh boy, favorite hockey moment from my childhood. Didn't go to a ton of games. I guess I will say this. With my dad, I think we went a couple times into games from Abbotsford into Pacific Coliseum, and I just remember hating Wayne Gretzky. And it was because of what he would do to the Canucks every time they'd play. And we went to an Oilers game one time, and it's just my reaction to seeing him was visceral. I hated him. Absolutely couldn't stand him. So the biggest memory I have is I was probably, I don't know if I was quite in my teens yet, but at that age going, and the game was more about cheering against Wayne Gretzky than it was cheering for the Canucks, if you can believe that. So that's kind of the one that stands out for me for my early hockey memories.
That's
I've
great.
never told
anti-fan.
Wayne. I've never told Wayne.
I'm sure you weren't the only one.
Now, do you remember? Did you have a favorite Christmas gift or anything when you were a kid?
I do. I remember it was right after E.T. I remember, I don't know if I was 13 or 14, but getting a Kuwahara Diamondback bike. And that was, I think, the gift I remember the most getting when I was younger. And you guys talked about traditions. My favorite traditions were my parents. My mom has since passed, but they, after retired, they joined PGA West in Palm Springs. They'd go down there and winter down there. So over Christmas, I would go down there. My dad and I had a tradition. Every Christmas morning, before we did any presents, we'd play the stadium course, which is extremely tough, but we'd play it from the tips, which makes it even tougher. And that was our Christmas Day tradition. We'd play the stadium course from the tips, and of course, I'd have some, breakfast beers or whatever. But that was a really fun tradition to play golf every morning on Christmas morning. And I say every morning on Christmas morning. It's probably about 5 or 6 times. But that was a fun
awesome.
tradition.
Great.
That's awesome. And here's the last one for me, Dan. How many years now on Canucks broadcasts?
So I started in the 01-02 season. So that was the year that they went to the playoffs and played the Red Wings and were up 2-0. The Lidstrom goal on Cloutier. That was my first. That was my first year covering the Canucks. So, man, won't be long until we're at 25 years. Minus.
No, and the one thing I wanted to ask you is we joke about it, but I say that out of respect. One of the most passionate fan bases. They love the Canucks. I'm wondering, over the years, what was your best interaction with a Canucks fan? Just on the street or shopping for groceries, whatever. Best interaction.
I mean, as you know, Freeds, people are so, passionate, and they want to talk about everything that goes on with the Canucks. And I always say this, people say, you get sick of it? I'm like, I'd much rather be people interested in them than not, right? I mean, you want people to care about some of the stuff you cover. But I remember one time going to buy groceries at the Safeway, and there was a a young woman there and said her dad was a huge fan, and they lived like a couple blocks away when I go over and say hi. So yeah, I followed her back, and I went and talked to her dad for a bit about the Canucks. Surprised him.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Well done, Murph. Good for you, buddy.
Very, very sharp, Murph. Very, very sharp.
Dan Murphy. He's a hell of a broadcaster, and he will make house calls. Murph, this is great, man. Have a great holiday with your family. We'll see you in the new year.
All right, boys. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Okay, so we're really fortunate at Sportsnet that not only do we have some fun personalities that you see on the television screen each and every night, we also have some wonderful people and personalities working behind the scenes. Hillary Whitebread, makeup extraordinaire, she is definitely one of them. Hillary, welcome to 32 Thoughts. Welcome to our holiday party. Our first question to you is, what can we get you to drink?
Well, I like a bit of rum and eggnog, personally. So I would love that.
Yeah, Elliot's not an eggnog guy. I've learned during this.
No, I'm not an eggnog guy, but I respect anyone else who wants to drink it. Just don't bring it anywhere near me.
I think it's an acquired taste.
It sure is. I have not acquired it yet. So, Hill, we always want to have somebody on the podcast that people aren't familiar with, they may not know from television, because as Kyle and I know extremely well, without the great support people we have around us, technical, production, wardrobe, and makeup, such as yourself, we would be even more of a disaster than we already are. So one of the things, I think everybody understands what makeup is, but one of the things I wanted you to explain is, like, just how do you prep, like on a night like Saturday night where you're making up 7 or 8 different people, how do you prep it all? How do you know who knows what needs what? Like, that's one thing I think people don't realize is the amount of work you do prepping for when that person gets in the chair.
You are so right, Elliot. You made me sound really important, and thank you for that.
You are.
You know what?
Yes, you are.
I think it's literally your face that's out, for all of Canada to see. And it's important. It's an integral part of what people see visually. So, how I guess, start a face is everybody has their own makeup bags. And so that makes it really easy to choose exactly what's going on in the face. And it becomes very fluid and routine. So I've been at this for 11 years now. With the NHL, I was a day one with the NHL contract. So I've, cultivated really special relationships with everybody, and it's a trust fall. We're in this thing together. When people are going out on air, I feel like a little piece of me is going out there with them each night.
So I'm curious to know, what's in a makeup bag? Like, explain to the audience, like, what is in there? Like, what do you have for my face, which needs like no work, and what do you have for Kyle's face, which needs a lot of work?
Okay. So you want recipes?
Yeah, like, what's in there? Like, I think people would actually be curious to know, like, what's in a makeup bag for us?
What is in a makeup bag? Okay, so I'll give you an example with yourself, Elliot. You have a little bit of a drier skin, shall we say, a little bit dehydrated. You're a very busy man. You're doing things, you're talking a lot. Maybe it's sucking the moisture out of your skin. So we have to make sure that Elliot stays hydrated. So a nice moisturizer, and then we use a powder foundation, really quick and easy. Your hair, on the other hand, is a bit of a process, if you will.
Yeah, it's been too much hairspray lately. We're going to tone that down.
So
I also, Kyle, I need the lip stuff.
Yes.
I know that too. I need the lip stuff.
Well, there's a lot of chatting, a lot of dehydration, a lot of chapped lips.
It goes with the rest of my dehydrated face, Kyle.
Well, Hillary, here's the thing, because I'll go into Toronto on weekends when they're playing at home on Saturday, and Elliot will often come to the skates in the morning. And there's some times where I go sit down next to him while we're watching morning skate, and in the back of my mind, I'm going, oh,
Like, wow.
Hair and makeup has their work cut out for them here today. Like, where the river sometimes where he sits down in the chair. And
Honestly.
It's like that scene off of a 40-year-old version where Steve Carell's going to get the hair removed from his chest, and it's like, cancel all my afternoon appointments because of how big the job's going to be. Like, have you ever had that where you're
Kelly
like, you've got to clear everyone else? Yeah.
Yes, I would say, I mean, I've been compared to words like magician, miracle worker. You know, I want to be humble about this. You know, I don't want to give too much away about how wonderful my abilities are. But yes, I mean, we sort of have it down to a science, and sometimes we don't have a lot of time. Elliot, I don't know if you recall a time that you came in, you had a flight that was late, and you had to scramble to get here. And I think we had like maybe, I don't know, 6 minutes to process you. That means hair and full hair and makeup. And you had to get out to set, and we had you dressed and ready to go within, like, I think it was like 8 minutes record time. Do you recall this?
Yes, that you know what? You're right. You're 100% right. Your memory is tremendous. It was last year.
Yes.
It was. We're coming back. Dave Amber and I were coming back from Victoria from Hockey Day in Canada, and we had a regional on the Sunday night. It was Toronto at Seattle, I think, or Toronto, Seattle. It was something like that. And our first flight was canceled. And Dave actually left his bag at the airport. He said, I'm rushing to, because Dave likes to prepare. Dave likes, like we all prepare in our own ways. Dave is like, if everything isn't perfect, it's a nuclear meltdown. So he actually left with, he says, I don't have time for my bag to come. They'll just have to, I'll either have to claim it in a couple days or they'll deliver it to my house. And I said, I am not doing that. I'm going to get your bag and I will bring it to work. So he got to work about 45 minutes before the game. And you're right. I got there about 12 minutes before the game. That is true.
Yeah.
And
this happened.
It was like you had 9 arms. Like you did a great job. Great job.
Yeah, these are the types of situations that sometimes get thrown our way. We have to think quickly, you know. So that was a fun night, and you did a good job getting yourself out there.
Now, the other thing too is, what is the difference? Like, so I've been at schools before, and I have to say, like, talking to young people getting into the business, and makeup becomes one of the funniest conversations because people are like, you actually know what to do with makeup, and I'm like, you have to. So what is the difference between someone in the studio like me or someone in the field like Kyle? Because you don't have studio lights there. So is it different in terms of what he wears?
Yeah. I mean, Kyle obviously works so much harder than you do, Elliot.
Of course, yes.
I don't know about that.
Well, first of all, Kyle, your hair, I mean, okay, can I just tell you, too, a fun story that I was actually the makeup artist that did Kyle's audition makeup when he first got here to Sportsnet.
Oh.
So Kyle, I don't remember how many years now because I'm sort of losing track of time in this vortex of makeup world here. But this was, I don't know how many years ago that would have been. Wow. So I remember you coming in and I did your makeup for your audition, and I thought to myself, this kid's gonna go places. Especially
I thought you
with
said this kid's terrible. He's never going to make it.
Especially with that head of hair. My God, it's flawless. I mean, I hardly have to do anything. So to answer that, Elliot, when Kyle is doing his own hair and makeup, somebody like Kyle can just simply throw a little powder on and he's good to go. But Elliot, you know, a little more attention. That's all. A little more love. A little more love.
Okay.
But I'm happy to give that to you.
Yeah, you do a great job. Now, so who was like the biggest, who is the worst problem getting into the chair, or they groan about getting makeup, or like who's that person that you've had to deal with? Like, just be quiet. This is going to help you.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Big part of my job is dealing with personalities and moments where people aren't, you know, maybe behaving their best. Geez, who doesn't? Well, Elliot, I don't think you love hair and makeup all the time. I mean, I think, like you're kind of happy to just roll in here and let's get this show on the road.
You know what? I'll say this. I will say this.
Like, I don't think it's your favorite, but I love doing your hair, for the record. You're my favorite.
Well, I would say this. I have no problem with the makeup. I understand it completely. I know what I look like in real life, and you're a miracle worker. But I do hate that the hair has to be seen as more perfect.
The hair has been a conversation.
Like a total mess. Yes.
Right. Like, yes. I love when you sit down in my chair and you kind of say, like, no, it's fine. And I'm like, well. And, I don't want to, there's this hybrid of, a little bit of me and a little bit of you. So I like to meet people halfway.
That's fair.
Yes.
Man.
Now, where did you go to school for this? Like, how did you learn all this?
So I volunteered a lot with community theater growing up in the Markham-Stouffville area. And I kind of went from one little interesting job to another that was makeup affiliated. So I used to work in cosmetic retail. I sold high-end makeup at the Bay Yorkdale for the Lancome counter, and I went to school for it at Seneca College, took a makeup artistry program. And I actually ended up, originally I started at the SCORE network. I met somebody that had a connection to the SCORE, and that was my first start really with sports, sports network and makeup, basically, so television makeup. And then from there, it was just sort of like, it's an interesting career path. I don't think there's one direct path. It's sort of, you sort of start, but it's, one thing leads to another. And I met somebody that knew somebody that worked at Sportsnet. And I got in, and I mean, the rest is sort of, I guess, history now. We're talking probably since 2012 that I've been here.
Nice.
And when we landed the NHL contract, I was floating around from actually from here at Sportsnet and TSN over on the other side. And when the opportunity came in with the NHL contract, I was asked to do the in-house resident makeup position. So sort of Monday to Friday style. So I've been with the NHL side the whole time. So I'm a day one. And I'm still here. I'm still here.
Still here.
Oh, yeah. And we need you. Hillary.
I've seen a lot of faces in my day. Oh,
my gosh. Think about it. Yeah, as that has all evolved over the last 11 years, that's incredible. So it is a holiday pod here, Hillary. So when it comes to Christmas time, favorite memories? Is there traditions that you had either growing up or still have now as an adult? What's top of mind there?
Well, let me see. One of my favorite memories or things to do or traditions is my favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life with James Stewart and Donna Reed. That is, I don't know, there's something about that story that just resonates every year. It can sort of be put into modern times, like being really grateful for your life and, when you're down and out, don't give it all away on the bridge.
Right. Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. I was trying to politely approach that. That is one of my favorite traditional movies. It's just kind of resonates with me every year.
Can't argue with that. Well, so before we let you go, I just want to make sure, like we've got Corinne, we've got Nadine, we've got Sasha, we've got Christine. Is there anybody else I'm missing on the critical Sportsnet makeup staff?
No, I think you've nailed it. We've got Sasha. Did you mention Sasha?
Yes,
and
I did.
Kate. Yep. Kate Easterbrook.
No, I forgot to mention Kate.
So we have Kate. Yeah. So all of us.
Her dad's going to kill me too. That I forgot to mention Kate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, the eye doctor. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you've covered it.
I guess we can't live without them. Okay, so here's my last question, Kyle.
Yes.
Who at Sportsnet needs the least makeup? I know it's not me, so you won't break my heart.
Right. It's not me either.
Who at Sportsnet needs the least makeup?
Are you asking Kyle?
No, asking you.
No, ask you.
The least amount of makeup. My God. This is a tough question because everybody needs a little bit of help. Let's be honest.
I understand that. Some need it more than others. I get it. Yep.
I'm gonna go with, you know what? Maybe I can position it this way. Carolyn Cameron is probably my most favorite, and she's complains the least. So she's very easygoing when it comes to makeup application and just being very professional about getting ready. I'm gonna go with Carolyn Cameron on this one.
You know what? I got no problem with anyone shouting out Carolyn Cameron. I can live with that answer. Kyle, you got anything else for our guest?
No, I don't, Hillary. Just thank you for looking after us for all these years.
Oh, my pleasure. It's an absolute, making people feel good about themselves. That's the true gift of Christmas.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
100%.
as you said, the way you approach things, certainly, because when you come sit down in the chair, usually not long before the show, so you're a little nervous. There's just that feeling of uncertainty, and the calm you bring to those few minutes there we get to spend with you.
I like to think I'm the, well, that's nice of you to say, and I like to think I'm like the opening act. It's very much a personality role, I think.
100%. 100%. You do a great job.
Well, I'm happy to be a part of this amazing collection of people.
All right, Hillary, have a great holiday.
I never have a bad day, that's for sure. All right, well, thank you for having me, and happy holidays to you guys as well.
Sean Reynolds, our Winnipeg bureau chief, and you can see him ringside for the NHL on Sportsnet all throughout the season. Sean, first question to each of our guests. What can we fill your cup with? It doesn't have to be alcoholic, though it certainly can. It can be cold. It can be warm. What are you craving?
Oh, geez. That's a tough one. What's the Simpsons line? Nothing like a nice cold beer on a hot Christmas morning. I'm one of these guys who's kind of gotten into the IPAs and those kind of different kind of the brew circuit. I like going on the road. I'll always go and belly up to the bar after a game, and I'll just ask them for whatever you can find me that's a local IPA that's a little bit citrusy. That's typically if I have my choice, that's what I'm going for these days.
Now, do you really enjoy the flavor, or do you just feel because some people are doing it, you're like, well, I guess I should join?
No, it's
basically
funny.
Kyle is calling you weak-minded here. I just want you to understand what's going on
I get
here.
It.
Yeah,
you
are clearly.
I've been through this before. Hey, listen, growing up in the 90s in rural Manitoba, I remember you would be going to house parties afterwards, right? Because that was what you would do. You'd go to the bar, you'd shut down the bar, you'd grab a 2-4, and then you'd head to the house party, and that's where the real fun began. And I just remember you'd have like all of these different debates, and people would be so offended because you bought Labatt's Blue and this guy got Molson Canadian. Like there's a difference. Like all those beers basically taste almost exactly the same, and there was like this massive debate over who should be drinking what back then, at least with my buddies growing up. I just find you can take things in a different direction. It's why I said the thing about getting a citrusy IPA. I'm not really huge into the hoppy kind of things that are like, kind of piney tasting. My wife absolutely hates it. Every time I always force her to have a sip of my beer, and she hates it every single time. But the citrusy element of an IPA is something I really like. So yes, maybe my weak-minded nature brought me into it, but I've learned to appreciate it once I got into it.
Nice. So how's your year gone so far? Jets started the season strong, nice and hot, built up the nice pad. How's it been going for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good year, not just with the Jets, but I've done a lot of, Kyle's a busy man. So when he leaves town, we are 2 ships passing in the night. And every once in a while, I'll pop in and cover Ottawa Senators games. Done a couple of Canadiens games so far. So it was good to see Patrick Laine back doing the things that he does that makes hockey fun. I've really enjoyed covering the Ottawa Senators. Just the management group there and the coaches I find are really, really interesting to talk to. They give you a lot of good stuff that I think makes for good broadcasting. And, it's interesting to see that Ottawa Senators team trying to turn the corner right now. And people will probably go back and look at this holiday episode and call me an idiot for saying it at the time, a couple months from now. But it looks like maybe, guys, are we in the middle of this Ottawa Senators turning the corner that everyone's been waiting for? Is this the moment that everyone's been waiting for? It's looking like it quite possibly could be. And then with the Jets, they just started out and kind of lapped the field a couple times to the point that their first 16 games, they only lost one game. They've actually been a below 500 team since then and still first place in points in the NHL. So the Jets always make things interesting because they can, on one hand, be so utterly dominant, and then at other times look like they don't know how to figure out hockey. So trying to figure out the mad mind of the Winnipeg Jets is always a fun task.
So for those that don't know, as you say, you're from rural Manitoba, and once upon a time, you were well on your way to becoming a phys ed teacher, and now you're a reporter for a national TV network, and you've lived a number of different places over the course of your journey, Sean. So through all of that, I wonder, when it comes to the holiday season, was that always a priority for you? Was there traditions with your family as you were moving from place to place through the early parts of adulthood, or how do you celebrate this time of year now?
Yeah, I did move around quite a bit, and I lived out in BC, and I lived out in Alberta. I've lived in Ontario. The one constant was always coming home for Christmas time. So my parents, my dad was the vice principal in the the high school of the small town that I grew up in. My mom remains there. My sister, so my dad was a teacher / principal. My mom was a guidance counselor / teacher. My sister has now gone home and is a teacher in the very same high school that both of us graduated from. So my family's got very deep roots that always brought me back at Christmas time. Traditions start to change as you add your own family into there. So with 2 daughters now, 2 teenage daughters that I have, we're trying to kind of create our own. I'm trying to take, my Christmas traditions and make them theirs, and they're accepting some. But one of those things is we always like to kind of watch the same Christmas movies over and over again. So A Christmas Story and Christmas Vacation and The Grinch and all those kind of
great movies.
And yes, and my daughter the other day said, why we keep watching the same movies every year? Let's get some new Christmas movies. And for me, I was like, that's the whole point. You're trying to replicate it over and over again. But clearly my daughters, they want different Christmas traditions. So that's kind of what this year is about, is maybe trying to carve out some new traditions that work for them.
Do you know what you're going to do? Do you know what they want? What are they asking
have no
for?
You know what, Elliot? What's going to happen is we're going to watch some terrible, cheesy Christmas movie on Netflix. It's going to be horrible. I'm going to be miserable with a wooden smile on my face.
Sean, let me tell you something, okay? So you have what, 2 daughters?
Yes.
Okay. So I grew up with 4 sisters, okay?
Oh, boy.
Cherish this, even if you hate the movie, cherish it as long as you can. Because when they're old enough, they're going to hate you just because you're their dad. So you better enjoy this while you can. I lived it. I know it. I've seen it. There's going to become a day where you have to put your foot down when they're teenagers, and they are going to loathe you for it. So even if you hate the movie, you sit there and you smile and you enjoy the time while you got it.
Yeah, you know what? I have a sister as well, as I mentioned, and her teenage years were an absolute nuclear war with my parents. So I saw the direction that went in. I'm kind of, bracing for it to happen. I'm a pretty affable guy, guys. I'm easy to get along with. I'm hoping that plays well with the daughters, but there are a couple moments where they give me a look where it's like, ooh, boy, this is going to head at some point in a different direction. So yes, I'm going to soak it all up, Elliot, and watch a terrible Netflix movie just to keep the peace in my house.
Okay, Kyle, before you go here's my question for you. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Okay, I'm going to say no. Just because something happens at Christmas doesn't make it that kind of movie. Do you know what I mean? I don't think the focus of it is solely on Christmas, or there's no like
release the hounds.
I feel like I'm learning, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm going to say no, but I'll say this, and maybe I'm going to lose my man card for this, but Die Hard, I love Bruce Willis. I love a ton of his movies. Die Hard is a movie that has never really resonated with me. To be honest with you,
what?
maybe it's because I saw it in the theater with my buddies.
Dom,
I saw
uninvite this guest.
I saw Die Hard 2.
We're not running this interview.
I preferred Die Hard 2 to Die Hard 1. When the plane is like leaking the gas and he just coolly and calmly is like lying down as the plane's taking off, and he lights his cigarette and throws the Zippo lighter into the gas fuel and the plane blows up. Like, I thought that was the epitome of cool. So I don't know. Maybe it's just like the era that I come from. But if I thought that Die Hard 2 was cooler than Die Hard 1, I can't be a hardcore Die Hard guy.
No, you know what? I'll say this. I don't think that is a bad take. Die Hard 2 is a great movie. I do not think that's a bad take at all. But just the way that you diss Die Hard there is unacceptable for this level of a high-class podcast.
Don't dox me, Elliot. I can't take any more hate.
Hey, Sean, how's the 32 Thoughts holiday party? I just got lectured the whole time. I
just got thrown out.
This at all. Yeah, they buttered me up with a free drink.
I can imagine Elliot backing me into the water cooler, just giving it to me right now with a glass of eggnog that smells a little bit too much like rum in his hand right now.
Yeah, that's right. Let me tell you something, Sean. I will just say, we don't need to continue the debate, but if It's a Wonderful Life is a Christmas movie, then Die Hard absolutely is too.
Yeah,
That's
but it's got that Christmas lesson in there. You know what I mean? It's got that fine Christmas lesson, and I don't know what here. I let me turn the tables on you guys. What's the Christmas lesson that we take away from Die Hard?
Don't mess with Bruce Willis.
There you go. Which is a great Christmas lesson. I wouldn't mess with Bruce Willis at Christmas time, but I don't know if it resonates as much as what we get from some of the other holiday classics.
The FBI needs to change its playbook. That was the other one I got from that one.
Yeah. All right, Sean, last one for you. You mentioned the traditions that you're trying to get going with your daughters. What were your favorites when you were their age?
You know, my cousin Steve, and later my cousin Nigel, who's quite a bit younger than us, and my cousin Jayana and all the family would come out, and we would always head out, and it just always seemed like it was just a perfect Christmas Eve every year, and we'd always go play a game of road hockey outside. And I remember my grandpa coming out, and he'd always go in net, and like the way he held his hockey stick, you could tell that he'd never played a game of hockey in his life. But in that road hockey net, he was just a god, and he just had this stand-up style. You couldn't get the puck past him. And I just remember the moms, the dads, everyone would come out there, and you'd be grabbing every kind of stick that you could find, and adults would be bending over, sore backs later on because they'd be running around with a little kid's stick that was way too small for them. And I just remember those clean, crisp Manitoba winter nights, just cold as heck, and you come inside and your nose is running and your face is beet red because of how cold it was. And I could have stayed out there for hours doing that. That Christmas Eve road hockey game for me is just as Christmas as it gets.
Love it. That's fantastic.
Awesome.
I think that's great.
Sean, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, guys. And Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you and all your listeners.
All right, our next guest, one of our favorite hosts on the NHL on Sportsnet, who you may have not seen or heard from in a little while now. That's because Carolyn Cameron has been busy being a mom, being a mother to Charlie this past summer. Carolyn, we welcome you back. It's great to have you on. The first question is, beyond how are you doing, before we get to all of that, what drink can we get you to kick things off?
Ooh, good point. I'll have a glass of red wine, please.
All right, you got it.
To say while I'm holding my baby?
No, as a matter of fact, I think it's very responsible. Is there a particular blend that you prefer, a particular style?
I'm not much. I wish I knew more about wine. I like a Cab Sauv.
Okay,
I'm
excellent
down
choice.
for like a $17 bottle.
How's motherhood? How you doing?
It's great. Yeah, I'm loving it. It's been great. He's sitting right here on my lap, so if you hear him, he's just sucking away on his teether. 5.5 months old, and it's still surreal, even when you guys introduce me and say that I'm a mom. But it's been so fun, and he's at an age now where he's giggling and more personality and smiling. So I love Christmas. So me and my husband were really excited for this first Christmas with Charlie. That's right. Yeah.
Now, is he a sleeper, Carolyn, or like how is it?
Yeah, he's been a pretty good sleeper. There's still, like, even last night, there's the kind of middle of the night wake up, but he's able to get himself back down to sleep. So I guess, as you know, Elliot, you kind of just get used to being tired.
Yes, that's right.
So
Get ready,
I've
Kyle.
been told
You get used to being tired.
I've been told it never really ends. But no, generally speaking, we've been lucky. He's been a good sleeper. Good eater, good sleeper. Very fortunate.
So, first Christmas for Charlie. What's on the docket?
So I still want to, it's kind of fun because we get to introduce him to traditions. The thing is, like, I always watch a Muppet Christmas Carol on Christmas Eve. But I mean, he'll be in bed by the time I do all those traditions, but we already have his stocking hanging up with his name on it. And I'm sure Santa will come because he's been a very good boy. And the gifts that we give him, I haven't wrapped yet, but I will wrap them, even though I will be the one opening them for him. So yeah, we're doing Christmas at my in-laws this weekend, and then Christmas with my family locally here in Toronto on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So it'll be fun. He'll just be the center of attention.
Are you still watching much hockey? Like, you know, I know you're a huge tennis fan. Do you watch many sports now?
Oh yeah, and that's the thing that's been nice. Like, he goes to bed at 7, so I still watch hockey most nights. I have not been staying up though for the late game. So for me in Toronto, that's like any West Coast games, because I wake him up to feed him at 10, and then I go right to sleep. So I haven't been watching as much West Coast games this year, but all the East Coast games I've been watching. So it's been great. And actually, when he was born, it was beginning of July. So came home and just watched Wimbledon all day for 2 weeks, and then it was the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
So we had that for 2 weeks. And this is like, he's a newborn. He's sleeping most of the day. So the TV was just constantly on. Now during the day, he's a bit more alert. So I can't really have the TV on as much because I'm trying not to have a screen in front of him all the time. But yeah, once he's in bed, we're watching games. You guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, you know, first of all, I don't know if that's true. And secondly, you know, I was sitting on the Wednesday show the other night, and I'm sitting there with Luke Gazdick and Cosentino and Dave Amber. And I'm like, this show is much uglier and much less talented without Carolyn on it. I really did feel that.
No, it's great. Amber's doing his usual great job. I wouldn't say that to him, though. Wouldn't admit that.
No, you're much classier than I am, I have to say.
So, Carolyn, how about, like, for you growing up in the Etobicoke area, like, what were some of the staples for you around this time of year?
Yeah, like, I was always the big athlete, but I was also very into music and in choir. So this time of year always makes me think back to Christmas concerts and singing Christmas music. And that was just a really big part of the holiday season and kind of got me in the mood for Christmas. So I think back fondly at that. And it was just a lot of family time. And I'm just very fortunate because Christmas brings a lot of happy, positive memories back. So that's why it's exciting. Again, as I mentioned now with Charlie, is kind of trying to have those same traditions with him. And I mean, I sing made up songs to him all day, not really Christmas carols, but just trying to introduce those memories so they're part of his story. But yeah, a lot of it's music surrounding Christmas is kind of my fondest memories and time with family.
Does he like music?
I think he likes my made up songs. Yeah, it seems that way. He kind of wiggles. Either he's dancing or it's gas. You never really know.
Yes. Well, it's funny because I was thinking about this the other day, like the idea of the school Christmas concerts, and I'm sure they weren't. I know, like for myself growing up, I imagine for all the parents, they weren't great to listen to necessarily.
No.
But I loved them just because you knew, like, it was all part of the lead up to the big day, right? When the concert got there, you're like, oh, we're only a week, 10 days away from Christmas Day, whatever it was. Did you have favorite songs or carols to sing that time of year?
We Wish You a Merry Christmas, always a classic at the end of any school Christmas concert. I think though that's what it makes me think, Kyle, is I actually think I enjoy the lead up to Christmas better than I even love the day or the night. I mean, as a kid, it's so exciting waking up on Christmas morning, and the holidays in general are such a wonderful time of the year, but it's because of the lead up. It's all the activities and music and all the parties leading up to it. But in terms of, I like a lot, like Silent Night's a good one. I feel like now that I'm a mom too, I don't know if it's the hormones or they all just make me emotional now, but Silent Night's a nice one. And I think We Wish You a Merry Christmas. That's one of my favorites.
I like a lot of the covers. Like I have to say, like, you know.
Bruce Springsteen, Santa Claus Coming to Town.
Yeah, Paul McCartney. Even like, there's a couple ones that are kind of off the beaten path. Like the Bare Naked Ladies have a couple that are really good. I don't know what is happening to me in my old age. I'm turning soft, but I'll get like that channel with some of the Christmas music, and as long as it's covers, I'll listen to it. I don't know what's happened to me in my old age.
River, Sarah McLachlan. I think you could count that as a holiday song. Yeah, I agree.
That's right.
A lot of good covers.
Now, when you walk the dog, is Charlie going with you? Is he enjoying that?
Yeah, that's what's been great, and I'd recommend for anyone listening maybe who's on maternity leave, is I've found just even for my own mental health, it's just so nice getting out of the house. So we have our dog Molly, so every morning, regardless of the weather, we're out for a walk, and then usually in the late afternoon. So that's been great. It's getting a little bit colder, but I really enjoy that time. And the fresh air is good for Charlie too. I think that probably helps him sleep a little bit better. We actually went to the distillery market just yesterday in Toronto, so that got us, it was pouring rain. That was a bad idea, but it still got us in the festive mood and just packed.
You know, I have to remember the first time we ever took Max out in his stroller carriage. I can't remember what it was, but the first time he ever got rained on, like we're like, oh no, this is going to be a disaster. And he loved it. He wanted to go back out in the rain. He loved the way it felt on his skin.
That's like Charlie, those moments with weather where I think, oh my gosh, this was a bad idea, or this is a lesson learned. I'm the one who's stressed. He's just happy, content, and just snug in his stroller.
Okay, so I know, Carolyn, for those that aren't aware, that you were and still are a dynamite tennis player. Will that be, I imagine Charlie will have the opportunity to do any activity that he desires when the age comes to, but will it be a tennis racket in his hand first? Where do you kind of begin?
That's a good question. I don't know. My husband and I haven't really talked about where he began. Well, he's going to start swimming lessons in January, so that'll be fun. I really like swimming, and I think it's important to get him in a pool sooner rather than later. Swimming lessons at this age are really just so they get used to the water. My husband plays hockey and still does, so I know that he'll be out on our local rink, basically as early as he can stand, get some skates on him. Yeah, and tennis, of course, in the summers. We want to introduce as much to him as possible and then just see what sticks. So swimming's first just because of the ease of it. And then we'll see once he can really stand. I saw, though, Jordan Binnington, I just saw it on Instagram yesterday, actually. He had like a baby size racket in his kid's hand, and I thought, ooh, I gotta get one of those for Charlie. Didn't even know they made them.
That's a good idea. You know what? We'll have to ask him at the Four Nations, where'd he get it? See if we can do some intel for you. I can tell you one thing, too, about when you first take Charlie swimming. If there's one mistake we made right away, is we didn't have Max dunk right away. Don't make that mistake. Dunk him right away and get him used to it.
Okay, he likes bath time, so I feel like that's a good start. And I more than enough times have accidentally gotten water in his face, so hopefully we're off to a good start.
Accidentally on purpose, yes. But no, but like some kids, they're like resist dunking, and ours did, so we played it too soft. If I could do it over again, I'd say, nope, you're getting used to it. Let's go.
Okay, as you can tell by Charlie's grunts, I don't think he's convinced. He'll be fine.
That's right.
So Carolyn, like, do you miss hosting at all? Like, or are you just so happy? Like, screw those TV guys.
No, I do. I feel really lucky because I really love my job, but I'm also very I'm very purposeful to enjoy this time, every moment of it with Charlie, just because I know it already is going by really fast and I want to take it in and enjoy it. But I really miss, I have a bit of FOMO. I remember watching opening night and I miss the social aspect of work too. Like we have so much fun every night watching games and you're just sitting in a room, for those who don't know, with a bunch of TVs when you're in studio and just chatting and laughing. So I definitely especially miss that aspect of work and even just challenging myself in that way mentally. But it's a whole other challenge mentally here and learning experience. So yes, I do miss it, but I'm really enjoying this time and I feel very fortunate that I have it.
Well,
Charlie might
think
make a heck of a
that,
broadcaster one day.
Yeah, seriously, like he can really get over the audience. Charlie is saying this interview is over, so just wanted to say, like, we miss having you around too. We're glad you're happy, but we miss having you around.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and thanks so much for having me on. And happy holidays. I actually have it on good authority today, Elliot, that there was a lineup of shoppers to get a photo with you at a kosher grocery store. So it is the Hanukkah season as well. So happy holidays and happy Hanukkah.
Thank you.
Our next guest, Luke Gazdic, former player, broadcaster now with Sportsnet and doing a heck of a job with all of it. So, Luke, the first question to each of our guests on the 32 Thoughts holiday party is, what drink can we get you? The bar does not discriminate. Cold, warm, anything you're feeling. What are you thirsty for?
Get me a warm apple cider. That's
nice. Great Christmas call.
Yeah, it's a great Christmas holiday drink. It's something my mom always has back home when we go home for the holidays. So that's a little nostalgic for me.
So, Luke, I was always wondering, like, I'm looking over your career. You were in places like Idaho, Texas, Edmonton, Oklahoma City, Bakersfield, Albany, New Jersey, Stockton, San Diego. I don't know how often you got a chance to go home for Christmas. So what would it be like in those various players in terms of players celebrating as a group, or if they couldn't make it home?
Oh, man, yeah. You just listed almost all the places. We might need a longer pod to go through all the places I played. But honestly, for me, I loved the Christmas holiday and like the Christmas break. So it was a little more challenging in the American League. Sometimes we only had 2-3 days off, whatever it may be. And if you finish on the road, you never know where you are. But I always tried to make a point to get home, no matter how much the flights were or what obstacles were in the way. I loved going home and having that, even if it was 48 hours home with my family and my friends, and getting to kind of put hockey aside just for that short amount of time, and then up on a flight and head back to Texas or wherever it may be. But I also do remember that some of my greatest memories in my pro career were those Christmases where we weren't able to get home. And I specifically remember... Yeah, I specifically remember one when we were, I was about 22, was playing in Austin, Texas, and for some reason, just the way the schedule worked out, it wasn't in the cards for anybody. So me and Colton Sevier, who was my roommate, longtime NHL player, we hosted about 10 of the guys, and we did it all up. Guys asked their parents for different recipes that they had made and their parents made, and it was just, outstanding. I remember Jordy Ben, Jamie Oleksiak, Scott Glennie. We had a really good group of guys down there. And like I said, some of my best memories are just being with the guys over a holiday season, so you don't necessarily feel like you're alone.
What did you make?
Great.
Like, what was your dish? Like, what did you prepare?
I was the head chef for that one. Most of the boys were sous chefing for me, but we did it all. I had the turkey going, all the sides, stuffing, cranberry sauce, and then my aunt Lisa always makes this. It's like a casserole, but it's more sweet. It's like sweet potato and banana with like a marshmallow crust. And I had to get her to send me the recipe for it because I wanted it on the table as well. But it was really cool. We kind of had a bit of everything from everybody. Everyone contributed.
So did you?
Are you a good chef?
I was going to ask.
Sorry,
did you spend time in the kitchen growing up?
Yes, not growing up, but I mean, my mom was the cook in our family. My Italian grandma, my noni, she passed down a couple recipes as well. But I mean, I moved away from home when I was 17, obviously billeted with a family in junior. But then by the time I was 19, I was living alone in an apartment in Boise, Idaho. And then I was off to Austin, Texas the next year. And me and Colton, the player I just talked about, lived together when we were rookies. And you have to learn, right? Like we weren't making a ton of money back then in the minors. So you can't be, eating at restaurants every single day for lunch and dinner. So we kind of had to figure it out. And I pride myself in my chef skills now. I've come a long way. And I love hosting. I love having people over. It's one of my favorite things. It's whether it's to have a couple people or a group of people over and to cook a nice meal, tell some stories around the table. It's one of my favorite things to do is just be in the kitchen and try different recipes and all that stuff.
So if you are ever to invite Kyle and I over for a romantic dinner, what are you making? What should we expect to be served?
I just made it the other day, actually. It's my go-to. We always made it the night before games, but it's just a homemade baked chicken parm. I love making chicken parm with side of pasta and a little salad. Chicken from scratch, pound it out, and make a nice sauce on the stove. That's my favorite. That's what I'd be making for you boys. That's the pregame meal.
Nice.
Oh, you've got my heart. So, Luke, like growing up in Toronto, your dad, Mike, played high-level hockey, played for the Sudbury Wolves, a draft pick of the Sabres once upon a time. Your brothers, Ben
Western
and Mark,
Mustangs,
too.
Western Mustangs.
Western Hall of Fame.
How dare I leave them out?
Yeah,
but your brothers were players as well. So when Dad built the ODR, take us to that scene.
Oh, that's my childhood, right in the backyard. Not sure what the lot size is, but from whenever it started getting cold, I remember my dad being out there, bundled up from head to toe, two toques on with this old green garbage bin we had that we ended up using for the Stanley Cup. We'd play one on one, or me versus my older brother, and that was our Stanley Cup. But he'd be out there flooding the rink in the cold and in the dark hours of the night. I remember faking sick a couple times so I could stay home and just play all day. But whether it was at night when we got home from school, like we were on that thing all day, every day. My younger brother Marky, my older brother Ben, whether it was taking shots or having friends over and playing shinny, or just playing, like I said, one-on-one versus each other for the green garbage bin. We were out there till my parents were yelling at us to come back in. Some of the best memories of my childhood, and I thank my dad for this a lot, was building us that rink every winter, because I understand how hard it is. But growing up in the north end of Toronto here in North York, obviously hockey is a huge way of life, and I was fortunate enough to have a dad that played and understood it and made that for us every winter.
Now, what were the games like with your family? Like, we hear about the Bieksa family games. It's like a miracle all of them didn't end up in traction. What was it like when the Gazdic family went out and played?
Oh, man, it was usually me and my older brother, picking on my younger brother a little bit, I'd say. Sometimes it'd turn on into like a 2-on-1 game, and he'd be storming off and yelling at us. And then I'd always try to beat my brother, but he was bigger and stronger than me at the time. And I do remember beating him one time. It was like overtime, and we were doing the whole thing, it's Game 7 Stanley Cup, and I beat him, and I was celebrating, and then he beat me with the green garbage can over and over again after that. So here I am getting dusted off by this garbage bin. My dad's coming out to break it up, but no, we were always just competitive with each other. But I love those two guys. I just will never forget the three of us out there going at it night after night after night. And this is on top of us all being in minor hockey and being in travel tournaments and playing a couple of games a week, and wherever we could find time, we were at the home rink.
Jeez, so from Steve Thomas on the ice to Steve Austin now with the garbage bin. Going back and forth.
Yeah, Ben was not too thrilled.
No. Luke, like I think of this last year for yourself, working on Hockey Night in Canada. It was great, having you part of the coverage out in Edmonton during the Cup final, and all the things you've gotten to do on the broadcaster side as you've grown that part of your career and your life. I mean, how do you look back on 2024 for yourself?
Yeah.
Well, it has certainly happened, faster. I don't want to say faster than I expected, but I never really envisioned myself doing this in the first place. I think hockey was kind of taken away from me. The pandemic season was the last pro hockey I played. In March, we were sent home. The season was canceled. Didn't really know what to do. And I was at this crossroads in my life where I wasn't sure what route I wanted to take. And I always thought I'd get into coaching or player development. And there just wasn't a lot on the table until, if I got a phone call from Rob Corte asking if I wanted to try out some Edmonton regionals on TV with Gene Principe. And, here we are 3 years later, and I'm doing Hockey Night Canada. I get to work with Elliot Friedman on a weekly basis.
I don't know if that's a prize, to be honest.
I was waiting for your comment on that.
Speaking from experience, yeah.
But, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm growing up in real time, with the viewer and with my teammates at Sportsnet. I think I'm starting to figure this out a little more. The analyst part of it. It was always something I took pride in when I played, was that if I was only going to get 6 to 8 minutes a night, and I was primarily there to, be a physical, intimidating enforcer presence, but I wanted to make sure the details of the game were always clean so that I couldn't give coaches excuses not to play me or to take me out of the lineup. I always wanted to be as prepared as possible. So I had the pleasure through 11 years of pro hockey to be able to learn under some of the best coaches that I think are in hockey. You mentioned all the teams I played for. Imagine all the coaches I had on the bench, from the head coach to the staff. So I learned a lot over my 11 years. And I joke about this a lot, but I also sat out for a lot of games and sat on the bench with the front row seat to watch some of the best players in the world perform at the top of their level. And I learned just so much over that span and over that time that's what I've been trying to do, is kind of relay that to the viewer, and also try to be a little more personable and mix in some of my experiences. I was not an 11-year NHL 1,000-game guy. I played in the East Coast League and over 400-something games in the American League, and there's a lot of stuff I just try to bring to the table, and it's been great for me, to be honest, in a transition from hockey, being able to stay involved in the game, but not be so hands-on. I'm not riding a bus, doing 3-and-3s, traveling through Ontario, wherever it is. I get to sit there and watch hockey and kind of take my spin on it. It's been a blessing for me in more ways than people probably know, and I'm loving every night I get to go there.
Honestly, Luke, you have a huge future in this business. I would rather have your future than mine, no question about that. Now, there's one thing, Kyle, that Luke and I have in common, and we're going to go back to the food part of this interview, Kyle. Luke and I have the same favorite restaurant in Toronto. There are lots of great restaurants in this city, but we both had the same one. I used to go to it every year on our anniversary, but that shut down over COVID. But we're going to reignite that tradition. And Luke, why don't you tell us about this great restaurant that we both love?
So this was actually, I don't know if you remember this, Alia. This is my first interaction with you, and it was via Twitter on DMs, because I had posted a photo. It's been a while, obviously, since COVID too, but I used to go to Yoso's in Toronto at Avenue and Davenport for my birthday every year. It's my favorite restaurant in the city. Leo Spralia, who runs the place, incredible guy. I love the food. I love the vibes. And I remember posting a picture, and Elliot DM'd me and said, "Where is that? Where is your favorite restaurant?" And I said, "Yoso's." And you said, "Mine too." So it's been a while, but I do think we got to get a date on the calendar and go have a little team dinner there. And for anyone that hasn't been there,
Kyle, you're coming too.
Kyle's invited.
I'm just looking
invited.
at the menu right now.
It's all fresh fish and some of the best risotto in the city. And it's just really good, homey, cozy vibes. Haven't been there in a couple years, and I think we got to get a date on the calendar.
Jeez.
100%.
Between Yoso's and Luke's place, We are covered for the next little bit here, Freak. This is good work by you.
And the other thing, Kyle, I learned about Luke this year, big Swiftie. And
oh, that's right.
You are the ultimate teammate. You gave up your spot at the concert this year to work.
I did. I am a big Swiftie. I mean, I was in junior when her first album came out, and I don't know, like me and all my buddies on the Otters, like we had that going in the dressing room. And I understand she's poppy and whatever, but I love her music. She makes hits all day.
So talented.
She's incredible. And then I got to see her in Detroit 2 summers ago now for her beginning of her Eras tour. And then as she was coming to Toronto, yes, I got my hands on 2 tickets. Not for free. They were a fortune. And then I got the Hockey Night in Canada nod for Oilers Leafs. And that's where I wanted to be. So I sent my my girlfriend and my sister. And just good team guy. They had an absolute blast.
Good karma coming your way. Luke, this has been fun. Hope you have a great holiday season. And it's been great having you as part of the group.
You too, guys. Thanks for having me. And happy holidays to you all.
Okay, our next guest, one of our newest teammates at Sportsnet, Anna Dua joins us now. Anna, the first question when you come on the 32 Thoughts holiday party is, what is your drink of choice? The bar is open. What are you thirsty for?
Okay, so I have forced myself to like my drink of choice. It is a vodka martini. It's a dirty martini. I hate olives, but I like the way it looks. So I spent the last 6 months preparing for the holiday season by forcing myself to drink them, and now I think I finally like them.
Wow.
I think the key word here is forcing. Yes.
Yes. It is. It is. You know, it's all about the vibes. I was like, I want to be the type of person who orders a vodka martini, so I'm going to become that type of person.
I got to admire the commitment.
You know, that's harder work than I've done on anything this year, that's for sure. So, Anna, I wanted to ask you, like, of all the people we're having on the pod, you're the one that I know the least. I don't know what your relationship like is with Kyle, how much you guys have seen each other on the road, but you're the one
Kyle and I are best
know
friends.
the least.
We've been best friends since I was 5 years old.
Okay, that's
we
good to
go
know.
way
See,
back.
This is something else I'm learning. So, like, as you're introducing yourself to the fans of the podcast, how would you describe yourself? Who is Anna Dua?
That's a really good question. I think I am a unique person. I'll go out by starting and saying that. I know I get a lot of flame for a lot of my takes that I have on everything, whether it be hockey related or life related on X. So if you want to get to know me, you should just look at my X. I can't promise you'll like me after that, but you'll get to know me for sure.
Well, it doesn't matter if they like you. It just matters if they pay attention to you.
Right.
That is
and
true.
Here's the other thing that some may not know, Anna, is that you were a heck of a hockey player growing up. So could you lead us into kind of your background playing the sport before you're now covering it in the capacity that you do with Sportsnet?
Oh, you're too kind to me, Kyle. I did play hockey my whole life. It was my dad who got me into it, just like most kids up in Canada. I wouldn't say I was a phenom. I was a bit of a grinder. But you know what? I did what I did well. So I was a big face-off girl, and I could skate well, and that kind of carried me throughout my hockey career. I went down and played hockey in high school in the States. So got to grow up playing in Canada, youth hockey, and then I went down to the States, and I played hockey for a couple of years down there. And then eventually, I never wanted to be a sports reporter. That wasn't my goal. I wasn't one of those kids who had like a microphone in their house, like pretending. I wish I had one of those videos, you know, when you post the throwbacks and you're like, look at me now. Was not me. I got injured pretty badly in my knee, and that's when I stopped playing hockey, and I had like an existential crisis. So I call up my dad, as one does, and I'm like, what should I do with my life? And my dad's like, well, you never shut up. You should be a sports reporter. And here I am. So it worked out.
Lord, I got to tell you, that's good advice. You never shut up, so you should be a sports reporter. I think it works for a lot of us.
It really does.
Yes. And that's also why Anna and I are so well connected. Both of us in our hockey playing days, though she did it at a much higher level than I did, knew the importance of face-offs.
Face-offs matter. Face-offs matter. I need to get a hat that says that on it.
That's good.
So you played at Virginia, right? Is that where you played?
I
So
did,
what was
yeah.
that
So one
experience like?
semester. Yeah, one semester. It was ACHA hockey. It was different for sure. I went through a lot. I think like towards the end of my hockey career, kind of figuring out what to do. So I got hurt twice within 1 year, and I was at Virginia for a little bit of time, and it was a great experience to like be down in the States specifically and see how different it was from Canada. And then after a semester down there, that's when I got hurt again, and I decided to do something else with my life and kind of hang up the skates. But being down in that area, actually, after I was done playing hockey, I coached hockey. So I used to practice and play at the Washington Capitals practice facility. I believe it's called MedStar now. It wasn't called that when I was down there. But It was during the Barry Trotz era. And he actually set up a really cool system where all of our coaching plans would like come from the Caps coaches, and they would host camps as well for kids all across the country that would fly out. Like Mitch Corden was their goalie coach at the time, and he would run these really cool goalie camps where like all the best goalies all across America would come out and try to learn from Mitch Corden. So I was there. I wasn't really able to play anymore, so I thought maybe I'd give a swing at coaching. Mark Messier's son was there as well. I don't know how he ended up there, but I met a lot of folks while I was down at DC coaching hockey, and you look at the game from a way you never look at it as a player, and it was such a life-changing experience for me. So that actually, I always say, like, even though I played hockey for years and years and years, my whole life, the 1 year I spent coaching hockey, I think has made me a better sportscaster than all the years I spent playing hockey.
What did you learn?
So when you play hockey, compared to other sports, hockey's such a position-specific sport. You're quite literally out there to do one very specific role. I was a center. I watched the center before me who was out on the ice. Then I get out on the ice, and then I sit down, and I think about what I have to do next. And I have the little plans in my head, exactly what I'm supposed to go out there and do. And then my brain kind of shuts off. I'm not really watching what the goalie's doing. I'm not really watching what the defensemen are doing when I'm on the bench. I'm literally just sitting there thinking about what I have to do next. So when I was a coach and I had to coach wingers and I had to coach defensemen and I had to coach goalies and kind of look at hockey as a full sport up and down the lineup, there's a lot of nuances that I just didn't recognize because I was so hyper focused on doing what I had to do as a centerman. So that was great, and I learned the game in a way that I just never saw it before.
Nice.
That's really great. Did you have any, growing up, Anna, did you have any traditions with the family around the holidays? And any that have stuck?
A lot. So Noel is my middle name. It's literally Christmas. So whenever anyone argues with me on anything that's related to Christmas, I say my middle name's Christmas because technically it is. Very, very big holiday family over here. The funniest one I have for y'all is when I was little. So my dad loves Bass Pro Shops. He goes every week, even if he doesn't have to buy anything. So when I was little, I would go see Santa at Bass Pro Shops, as one does, Niagara-on-the-Lake. And I would go there to Santa's Wonderland, and I would see Santa every year. And I was like way too old when I learned that there was Santas in malls. Like I thought everyone went to see Santa in Bass Pro Shops. And it took me a really... Literally, I was like talking to these kids in my class. I was like, are you going to Bass Pro Shops to see Santa? They're like, what are you on about? I was like, where else would you see Santa? So I think I was like probably like 10 or 11 when I learned that Santa was not, in fact, only in Bass Pro Shops. I thought that was like his like part-time job.
And is there a favorite Christmas gift or anything like that you got?
Oh, of course, it's got to be a hockey stick when I was younger. I mean, there was nothing like seeing a hockey stick under a tree. The prices are like kind of through the roof right now, though. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm taking a look at them right now, and I was like, okay, like, I'm happy I don't have kids yet. That's making me real happy seeing how much they cost. Now, I also understand why my parents would get so mad when I broke one. I didn't understand it as a kid, but hockey sticks for sure are one of the best presents. And then I remember my dad got me a Sidney Crosby jersey in 2010. 2011, no, 2010, end of 2010, right after the Olympics, whatever year that was. And that was a big deal because like any Canadian kid my age, the 2010 Vancouver Olympics were unreal and was definitely the sporting event that kind of sparked like my passion for like watching hockey. So the Sidney Crosby jersey is pretty special. It's old now, but it's somewhere in my house.
Now, did you have a favorite stick growing up that you had? Was there a specific model that you loved over all the others?
I did, yeah. I was a Bauer Nexus 1 and girl. I rattled it off immediately.
Yeah.
I had it ready to go.
Wow.
I was a big Bauer girl. And that was my go-to stick. I switched. I toggled between whose curve I like to play with, but I think I landed on, when I was nearing the end, I was a big Backstrom girl. He was with Warrior, so I had his stick with Warrior. I forgot who I had with Bauer, but it was the closest I could get to a Backstrom curve, but I love that stick.
That's awesome.
Now, big goals for you, Anna. Like, your career is just taking off. I'd said before with Luke that I'd rather have his future than mine. That's definitely true. I'd say the same thing about you. I mean, you're starting out, you're just taking off. Ultimately, do you think play-by-play? Like, ultimately, what would you like to do?
What would I like to do? That's a great question. I mean, sky's the limit. I always say, like, if I'm like waking up in the morning and I'm talking about hockey for a living, I really don't care how I'm doing it. So I feel like I'm on cloud nine every day, whether it's doing rinkside, whether it's hosting in the studio. I don't know if I'm at the play-by-play spot yet. Like, maybe I'll give it a go. Me and you, Elliot, we can do it in the house where no one can listen, and we can see if I can actually pull it off. But anything, I mean, like, I feel like I'm living my dream right now, just being able to hang out with you guys even. This is crazy.
Better for us than it is for you, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yes.
better for our reputations than yours. No question about it.
Yeah. No, hey, it's been great having you part of the group, Anna, and getting to know you a little bit here over the last little while. So, yeah, we're excited to see where you take it all from here. So thank you for joining us. Have a great holiday season, and I'll see you at the rink soon, eh?
Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Happy holidays.
Our next guest, play-by-play voice of the Calgary Flames, a new position this season for John Abbott. John, we welcome you to 32 Thoughts and our holiday extravaganza. The first question to each of our guests is, what drink can we pour you? It can be alcoholic, non-alcoholic, cold, warm, whatever you fancy. What are you craving?
Oh, all right. If I have my choice, I'm not a big eggnog guy, and this is probably going to make me seem... Yeah, no, I'm not a big eggnog guy. Sorry. If I'm splitting hairs here in the studio, then I feel bad. But yeah, I got to side with Frege on that one.
Frege and I will discuss this at a later time.
You know what? It's if you're giving me any choice, then a little dram of scotch will do for me. That would be great.
Nice. I like
nice
this
big
man.
ice cube.
Good pick as a guest. Yes.
You've redeemed yourself.
I'll make sure I hold you to that one.
How's life, man?
So how's it gone?
In Calgary?
Yeah, how's it gone?
It's been great, guys. Like, overwhelmingly positive. Just enjoy Calgary so much. The team has been playing well, so that's great. Everybody around the team has been fantastic to meet and to get to know. And you think of the Sportsnet crew as well. Like, that's just been overwhelmingly positive. So it's been really nice getting into Calgary, and we're excited for our first Christmas here as a family. So we're forming some new traditions this year.
Okay, so I got to know then, John, what are the things that you haven't had a chance to do yet in Calgary that's still on the list? Is it a trip out to COP? Is it a venture down to Inglewood to try one of the craft breweries down there? What else are you hoping to do now that you're a Calgarian?
Well, I think I need you as my wingman because with 3 kids, those usually aren't on the list. So my speed is more. The zoo lights are on our list here to get to as they light up the Calgary Zoo for Christmas, and Spruce Meadows as well does something similar. So those 2 will be on our holiday list. And barring a Chinook, guys, which could be coming soon, we're told, trying to hit the outdoor rink. The Moyers are Calgarians, as you guys know, and Dave and Ryan, the legendary Stats combo, father-son, and they have an outdoor rink in their neighborhood that is legendary. So that's on the list to bring the kids skating, hopefully sometime around Christmas Day, and that's kind of where I'm at, enjoying it through the 3 kids, 8, 6, and 3. So lots of fun.
So you have a really good schedule here. You've got your last game before the break is on Saturday afternoon, and then the Flames don't play again until they go on the road the 28th in San Jose. So with your 3 kids, like, what's the Christmas plan, John? You got a nice break here by NHL standards.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I've been talking to the guys around the team, and usually Calgary's been in California on the 23rd, coming in real early in the morning on the 24th, and then turning around on the 27th. So somehow I caught this one in the first season on a heck of a break with the home schedule, as you said, going in. So we're hoping, my wife is of Dutch background, and their big evening was Christmas Eve, actually, growing up. So we usually get the kids opening 1 or 2 gifts on Christmas Eve, and then we're looking forward to a real quiet Christmas, in a sense of just us being together as a family for our first one in Calgary. So enjoying Christmas morning, and then hopefully heading out to an outdoor rink to enjoy some skating and some hockey and stuff like that. So nothing crazy. We love Christmas. Most of our things, guys, are packed up right now in a storage container, so it's a little disappointing. I mean, we're not the Griswolds, but we usually do go pretty big for Christmas. So it's a little bit lacking this year on the lights and the decorations, but we're excited to be able to kind of take it a little bit slower and use the time that we have and just enjoy our first one in Calgary.
Okay, so then like a typical year though, like are you big on the lights, the decorations, exterior and interior? Are you leading the charge there, or is that your wife?
It's kind of a combined effort, but Kyle, I probably do push it a little bit. Like when she starts taking things down from places, I know I've hit my limit. So I guess I'm the tacky Christmas guy, if you will. It's probably a little bit more me than her, but together we really enjoy it, and again, just going back to the kids, you want to make it as fun as it possibly can be. So we probably go a little overboard on the decorations and the lights typically, maybe a little bit more inside than outside. But tell me you don't smile when you go by a house that's all lit up with all the decorations, right? Even if it's not your jam in the amount that you see. Now, we're not the inflatable people with the blow up Frosties and reindeers and that stuff, but lots of decorations inside, some lights outside, make everybody feel good and just enjoy it with the kids too. So Christmas is probably the biggest one for us.
So you know what, John, I know you're a big hockey fan. Do you remember Michel Petit, the defenseman?
I do, but I don't know where you're leading me on this one.
Okay, well, nobody knows what I'm doing.
Welcome to the podcast, John.
I do have a plan with this. So I believe Michel Petit played for the most Canadian teams. He played for 5 Canadian teams. And you and your family, you have worked for Toronto, you've worked for Ottawa, and you've worked for Vancouver. And now you've got your dream job as a full-time television play-by-play guy for an NHL team. And I just wanted to talk to you over Christmas. Like, your family's moved around with you. We're all teams, right? Like, our families go through this with us. So when you think about this Christmas, is it extra special for all of you? Because number one, you know you're going to be in the same place for a long time now. And number two, the family fulfills the dream together.
Freege, that's an awesome question. So I love that it ended up at the end there. Thank you. And you're right, much like Michel Petit, I guess I'm collecting tracksuits along the way here, but we are Albertans, and we're very excited to call Calgary home. Through all those other stops, and you guys can relate to this, it helps build you as a professional, it helps build you as a person, and you enjoy the moments you have with other people that you make friendships with and relationships with along the way. And yet it's just so incredibly thankful to end up in Calgary, and you're right, have the family together and be able to enjoy this planting roots in Calgary. So that is special. And I actually haven't been home for all Christmases either. Going back to being able to fortunately be able to do some overseas IIHF work. So you get settled, and now you have a chance to start developing that family time in Calgary now that the kids are at a great age as well. So I'm loving every single second of it. The family's really adapted quickly and well, so we're thankful for that. They have had some of their time back in Ontario previous to this, just with the whole idea of having the first Christmas in Calgary be the 5 of us and being able to enjoy it together and go from there. So we're looking forward to hopefully a lot more Christmases to come here, and this one's going to be a special one because we'll remember it as our first in Calgary.
That's really awesome. Has the dry air been the biggest adjustment as the temperatures get colder?
We're just starting into the well, I think of the hotels, I guess, as again we would relate to whether you fire up the kettle or whatever, but the humidifiers are going. Yep. So that's one adjustment for sure. And with the big nose that I have, you got to make sure you take care of things here. Otherwise, it's not so comfortable front and center there. But we're waiting on this. Apparently, I don't know. You guys tell me. Have you experienced the Chinook anywhere in your travels? I haven't yet. So apparently that's one to adjust to too, as the temperature goes from well below zero to jumping up into the positives like we might have around the corner here apparently.
It's incredible. The first time you experience it, you'll be like, wow. Like eventually it'll become boring. Oh, I've seen this before. But the first time you experience it, it is pretty amazing. Okay, so have you had to do a rookie dinner with Rudy and Leslie? And if the answer is yes, how much did they gouge you for?
I feel like you might have some inside information on this one, Friedge. I did have to
I just heard rumors. I heard rumors, yes.
I did have to do a rookie dinner. I was actually looking forward to it. It's one of those good rite of passage things. And I'll say this, the group let me off easy. Paul Grist was part of that as well, one of our great
Griswold,
producers.
nice.
Yep, and they had the option. It was Utah or Vegas, and they gave me Utah because it could have certainly racked up a pretty big bill in a hurry in Vegas, and they softened the blow. I was taking care of the beverages and the appies, and so that's not nearly as bad as it could have been.
Not too bad.
I can't complain, guys. Yeah.
Those two guys are getting soft in their old age. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, the Rudy Christmas party is coming up, so hopefully that's a tradition if I get the invite again. So we got to make a good impression on year one, or we might not make the cut for year two.
Oh boy,
you'll be fine. It takes a lot to get thrown out of that one, I think. An awful lot.
Okay, good.
Awesome. John, this has been great. Have a great holiday with your family there. You're the first one in Calgary, first of many. Thanks so much for coming on with us.
Gentlemen, thanks for having me. Happy holidays to you and yours, and best to everybody listening in, too.
All right. Looks like the party's starting to thin out. Everyone's making their way home. Elliot, once again, we have closed down another shindig. Success. It's just you, me, and Dom here left.
I hope everybody had a good time, but before we wrap up, Dom, it's your turn. Tell us about what you're going to be up to over the holidays here.
Well, my extended family all live in Europe, so it's just me, Mom, and Dad here in Vancouver. So I'll be at their house on Christmas Eve. As Eastern Europeans, we celebrate on Christmas Eve instead of Christmas Day. And then on Christmas Day, we'll watch The Santa Claus and Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and there'll be sports on TV and plenty of leftovers. So that's our Eastern European Christmas celebration.
So here's my question for you. Yeah, what do you cook?
It's generally a fish soup, some kind of fish, in keeping in line with our traditions.
Now, do you sit there like a lump on a log and make your parents do everything, or do you actually help out too?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both. Sometimes I help and sometimes I'm useless, so.
Now, do you have a favorite gift from your childhood or anything like that?
Yeah.
So what were we gonna say? What were we gonna say, Kyle? What were we gonna say?
I was just gonna say it sounds like this podcast here too.
Yeah. I do all my work when everyone leaves.
So did you have a great Christmas gift that you remember as a kid?
When I was about 10, I think. Whenever the first Xbox came out, that was a monumental Christmas gift. Because I had never received a video game console like that before. It was my first big console. And I just remember Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on there, and I would play for hours. It was one of the best Christmas gifts I've ever received.
Were you expecting it, or were you surprised?
I was surprised because it wasn't under the tree until we wrapped up, and then my mom did the thing where it was like, what's that over there in the corner?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The Xbox was your Red Ryder BB gun.
Yes.
Oh, I like your mom. She's tricky.
Yeah.
Very well executed.
Have you guys ever received a gift where it's like you open a box and there's a smaller box and then there's subsequently smaller boxes?
No.
Received. Oh, my mom loves doing that. I've had that happen to me way too many times.
Really?
So what, was the payoff worth it though?
Oh yeah, it's usually like a watch or something cool, but small.
Yeah, I know, like, my parents sometimes, they were good at doing things just to throw us off the scent of what we were looking for. Like, I remember one year my brother and I were big on onesies. We really wanted these specific onesies. And so, it'd be easy to put them. They would be in similarly shaped boxes. They don't weigh a ton. So my dad went in and took, like, weights that he had, like, from his fishing gear and threw them in the box, like, just to make them feel a little heavier so you thought they were something other than clothing. They get creative. It is a fun time of year for that stuff.
Dom, am I the only one here who wants to see the Bukowskis brothers onesies photo?
Nope. I think everyone would love to see that, Elliot.
Kyle, that should be, when we post this episode, that picture should be posted. It's like the album cover of this year's Christmas party.
Make it your Twitter avatar.
Does this picture?
Deal.
How old were you guys?
We were, this would have been close to 10 years ago.
Oh, 10 years ago?
Yes.
Oh my God, you have to get this photo.
All right. I'll work on it. There's a few. I'll work on it.
Come on, pajama boy.
Onesie boy to you.
Well, I just want to say to both you guys, it's been a pretty unique year at the home of the 32 Thoughts podcast, and I just want to say it's a pleasure. Another great year working with the two of you. I think Dom, you do an incredible job. I think Kyle, you do an incredible job. And we kind of got thrown together in pretty unique ways. And I just want to say that I think you guys have done incredible work, and I hope you both have a great holiday. And I'm looking forward to another incredible year.
Appreciate that, Elliot. Thank you both for helping make me feel comfortable, as this has all been a new thing for me, but it's been wonderful to get to know not only both of you better, but the listenership and our audience each and every week. And Dom, was great to finally meet you in person in LA at the start of the year, and now our relationship continues to grow. It's just been a wonderful first few months here, the three of us. So thank you both.
Well, let me just say, you guys are making progressively less and less mistakes each and every recording, making my life a whole lot easier. So thank you so much for your contributions. And I do love working with both of you. And I can't wait to see you in Chicago for the Winter Classic.
Oh, that's right. Winter
That's
Classic.
right.
Well, I got to say, that's about as weepy as I get, Dom. So I'm glad you came back with something a little harsher than that. I like that.
For all of us here at 32 Thoughts, we hope you had just a wonderful holiday season with your loved ones. Whichever you celebrate, however you choose to celebrate, we'll be back with more business, the hockey talk, come next week. But for now, enjoy the relaxing holiday season. We'll talk to you again soon.
Merry Christmas, everyone.